everyone, CWD Music Reviews here. I'm CWD and this is going to be a music review of the new RJD2 album, Dame Fortune. RJD2 is the pseudonym of a long-running producer and multi-instrumentalist. He's hit it big back in 2002 when he dropped his debut album, Dead Ringer, and since then has been doing production for the likes of Cunning Linguists and have been remixing for the likes of Aesop Rock. Can't say that I'm that familiar or acquainted with his back catalog, but on a casual level he's always come off to me as this really alternative and really somewhat idiosyncratic producer guy in the left field area of hip-hop as well as music itself. So when I heard about his new album coming out, I thought to myself, okay, this could be interesting to listen to, and it certainly was interesting to listen to. As a matter of fact, it was a really solid experience in varied sound. This album's about 12 tracks in length, about 45 minutes long, pretty decent length, and it certainly has enough material and execution to justify a standard length it's at. One thing I do appreciate a lot about this album is the production. It's got a lot of varied sounds about it, but it all still sounds one. It all still sounds like it's not just a collection of loose change RJD2 had and he just threw it into an album. It doesn't sound like that at all. It sounds like it was fleshed out for a project. This specific project that I enjoy a lot. That being said, in terms of the instrumentals, which is like the backbone of this entire album, there's quite a few different types of compositions that this album has to offer. Everything from funk, psychedelic rock, synth music, as well as beats from alternative hip-hop and maybe a few other things sprinkled into it. In a way, this album is like a box of chocolates. Not only are you not sure what you're going to get, and there's a lot of variety to it, but there's also going to be some treats that you're not going to gravitate to all that much because of preferential issues. So on that note, there are some tracks that I don't really gravitate to that much. The track A New Theory would have been a favorite of mine if it was longer. It's got this really looped guitar that is kind of chopped up and then, like I said, looped over and over before that's followed by some really intriguing beat patterns that comes back again. But over time this instrumental gets like warped and kind of trippy over time, which is interesting. I actually would have preferred this track to be a little bit more fleshed out, a bit longer, in order for me to really enjoy a possible direction that this song could win in. But I think my least favorite track on the album is Saboteur. There's this really soft intro before it gets into these booming drums that kind of overtake the mix for the most part. There's vocals on this track that sound kind of campy and a bit more soft rockish. This track actually reminds me of Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight, and not in a good way. Then there's a track PF Day One, which I like. It's just that it's a bit long for its own good. It's essentially this really serene and really beautiful kind of calm before the storm kind of thing. It really creates a moment of tranquility before it continues its sonic experience for the album. I just wish that it was a bit shorter and that it wasn't this like serene. I wish it like had a lot more to offer than just giving us close to 5 minutes of borderline ambient music. But aside from that, I really have just good things to say about this album. You get the tracks A Portal Inward and Portals Outward, which respectively serve as the intro and outro tracks to this album. Both of them have kind of this like synth odyssey kind of thing, like it certainly could serve as like soundtrack music. They both really serve their purpose as the intro goes inward and the outro goes outward. The intro track is followed by the track Roaming Hoard, which has a really funky vibe. There's like this kind of borderline jungly and tropical percussion just gliding throughout the track with some synth or jazz organ just showing off really well. There's campy vocals on this track, but they don't really work to the track's detriment all that much. It's not really vocals that really bog down the track or distract from what's going on with this instrumental in general. I love the way the synth usage pops up and keeps continuing the psychedelic vibe that this album continuously goes for particularly well. Then you get the track Piece of What. I really do like the string and piano interplay that goes on throughout the track. It's certainly kind of glamorous and once again somewhat soundtrack-ish. There's some soulful vocals on this track that I enjoy a lot. It's really passionate the way this singer is singing. My favorite vocal performances on this album are the ones that show legitimate emotion and not like just serving the purpose of what the track stands for. Then we get one of my top 3 favorite tracks in the album, the Sheboygan Left. It's a really nice psychedelic pop and rock jam that really keeps me engaged. It's got this kind of soft and loud dynamic where the soft has like a really subdued and really at ease kind of patience testing groove and rhythm before it explodes into this really joyous and soulful kind of moment that I really enjoy a lot. The track Your Nostalgic Heart and Lungs really builds particularly well. It's got a nice payoff where you get this kind of synthetic choir going on. Eventually, organ comes in and it's crescendoing, synth usage comes in, and it really flourishes and adds tension to the track before it ultimately explodes particularly well. I love the drum machine that's on this track. It certainly adds a lot of tension and a lot of just awe-inspiring feeling to this particular track. And then there's the track Up in the Clouds, which I was kind of iffy at first because it kind of sounds like a rap rock song from like the mid-2000s or something like that, but it grew on me quite a bit. It's got this intro with this really dark piano being coupled with this eerie vocals before this rapper named Blueprint comes in and delivers a pretty solid verse. Once his verse is over, the track outright explodes into this rock jam that I enjoy a lot. It's funny how this track goes from just dark piano music to alternative hip-hop to just outright rock in just a matter of 4 minutes. And it being done in this particularly cohesive way. And there's my favorite track in the album, Band of Matron Saints. I love the groove and the rhythm on this track. There's like this kind of piano and guitar syncopation, the way the tone of which is like kind of this sort of ominous soul music that I enjoy a lot. We have this vocalist named Josh Krashkick, whose name I probably mispronounced. He's got this really raspy voice, and the way he executes this vocal melody is probably my favorite vocalist on the entire record. This definitely solidifies itself as the last great track on the album before you go into an excellent outro, that is, A Portal's Outward. It's not very often that an established artist comes out with a new record that I just outright enjoy a lot. More often than not, when an established artist of at least a decade or so puts out a new album, I just listen to it and think to myself, yeah, this is cool. I think I'd much rather prefer listening to something from before, or their debut or something like that. And I do plan on checking out RJD2's debut, for sure. But in this case, RJD2 does not slouch making this album. What I like about this album is what it's not doing. It's not sounding like everyone else. Yeah, you might get like hints of Rat-a-tat or Madlib or Damn Funk or something like that, but it all still sounds like him. Like this palette of instrumental variety is coming from him and not from anyone else. You can tell that even if you're not like that invested and familiar with his music. You can get your solo multi-instrumentalist getting instrumentals together and putting out albums, but none are going to sound anywhere similar to this, and that's what I admire about it. It's not just sticking to the standard that producers like RJD2 have made already. It's doing something intricate and intriguing. So yeah, I really do like this album a lot. I'm definitely looking forward to what RJD2 is going to come up with in the future if he's going to continuously put out solid releases of this nature. This album is a plus 2.2 out of plus 3. If you're into your solo multi-instrumentalists and producers, if you like alternative hip-hop or funk or psychedelic rock or whatever, if you just like really intriguing music that really stands on its own 2 feet, then do check this out. But if you've given this album a listen, what'd you think of it? Did you like this album? Did you dislike this album? What was your reasoning for that, which I consider reviewing next? Also a note, I will be on vacation starting tomorrow, so I will not be putting out any reviews next week. This is CWD Music Reviews here, signing off.